up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It's Thursday, August 10th, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? What's everybody watching today or tonight? I guess I should say a little bit of a later start here. Kind of going to be cool, though. I kind of like it. It's like a throwback from
right?
Years gone by, right? So kind of cool to be on late. And we have so much to talk about before we even get into the races. So this is going to be a loaded show.
It's for one, like it was kind of a lot on my mind today, and I kind of thinking about what's going to go into today's podcast, and then I was like, let's start it late, that way we have zero places to be, and yeah, you're right. Like, this is how we used to do it all the time, was these 9-10 o'clock shows, our time. So it's good to be on here, after dark with all you guys. And you're right, we're back home from Saratoga. I don't know that we could have picked a different, more, I don't know what the word would be. Disaster is maybe one of a weekend at Saratoga. Just like it's not like one thing happened, and it's not like one particular thing happened. It was like just a multiple of different insane events that happened day after day after day, and it was just like, what is happening here? And it just continued to happen, even as much as yesterday, the power going out. And it's just like, what is happening in Saratoga, Halterman?
I know. And today we had a match race. We had a 2-horse field. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it definitely was one of the weirdest weekends I've ever spent up there, for sure. Everything else was normal except when you went to the track. And it was like, wow, what's going to happen today? They cancel races, and it never rains any time after they cancel on Friday. And it's like, well, this is odd. We're just kind of standing outside here, just kind of enjoying ourselves. It's like, why can't we run? That was weird. And then, of course, Saturday was just tragic. Sunday, tragic again. Haven't been on the turf since that race on Sunday. And that was an avoidable situation. Anybody paying attention to the meet knows that turf has not been very good the whole meet. So it's a mess right now. And like I said, the power goes out on Wednesday. We got a match race on Thursday. This is the furthest thing from Saratoga right now.
It does. It feels like it's like Aqueduct in the summer or something. It just doesn't. It doesn't. And I'll be honest with you, like, I thought Saturday, after obviously the test and Maple Leaf Mail, I thought that was the lowest that I've ever been in the horse racing world. And then I was on a flight. I was taxiing. I had a huge delay on my flight home in Charlotte. And I was like literally on the plane for like 3 hours before we took off. And so I'm like, what am I doing? I'm watching Saratoga. I'm betting, I'm like, well, I'm doing something. And so I thought that was the lowest I could go. And then not that it matters, but I once again have a bet on a horse, and the horse is about ready to roll, and the horse, you can tell, you knew the horse broke down, and you're just like, it just went from, I have to stop watching. I have to, like, at least, I have not watched a race since that moment of that race. And I was like, can't do it. And I haven't had, I just needed a mental break. In fact, I haven't even looked at a race until today when I was handicapping for today's show, because I just couldn't, I'll be honest, I just couldn't get there, like it. And it was one of those things. And I'm more like talking through this out loud just because it's like, it doesn't really matter, but it's like, there was 3 horses over the course of Thursday to Sunday that I wagered on that died. And I get, like, my wager means nothing, but in a sense, there is some sort of weird, like, I need to take a break from this, because it feels like every time I make a bet, I'm like putting their lives at risk. And it was just, Sopron Baselli and the Glens Falls, it was put down after the wire. And then, of course, the test, and then that race, and I think that horse's name was Ever Summer, in that allowance race on Sunday. And it just felt like, dude, I need a break, man.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's definitely we talked about the marketability of the sport between us, and it's like, how do you market a sport like this? And the answer is you can't, and it's impossible. You can make bad bets in any other sport, but you're not going to lose a race because your horse is dead or your player is dead, and that cover your ears if you don't want to hear this, but that's what happens in horse racing sometimes. And we've had a horrible, streak of it for sure, but that's going to knock anybody down for a loop, and the Maple Leaf Mel thing, I mean, that was just the worst of the worst without any doubt. But yeah, I mean, that's just, how do you tell somebody if that was their first day at the track? How do you tell them, hey, come back tomorrow? You don't, right? And we were standing at the paddock bar, and you look out towards the entryway there, and the exits were just flooded with people. They were out of there. They said, we're done
with the Whitney.
Yeah, and we might as well have been. Well, I mean, we were pretty much just a shell of ourselves. We watched 2 more races, and we got out of there too. And the 9th race ran, and I barely knew it was even running. I looked up, and they were on the backstretch. And then the 10th race, we did go out and watch it, from the grandstand. But at the same time, it was just like, I don't really care what happens here, and we're running the Whitney, and I'm like, I just kind of want to leave. So it was awful. It was absolutely awful. And I mean, I'm with you. It's hard to get back up after that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you're right. I was the same way. Like, I was like, oh, they're in the stretch of the Saratoga Derby, the next race, I'm like, oh, like I like, oh, there's my horse, and it's like, I don't know, you lost a lot. I mean, and I never had seen it other than maybe when Zenyatta lost the Classic. I've never seen a track so quiet. But certainly not midway through the card. It just was just quiet. You could tell it was very. I mean, dude, I've never seen anything like it. That what happened in the test. It was just we were watching with a buddy of ours, Coleman, and he came in, obviously with a bunch of other people in the paddock bar, and I, it literally, like, and I'm not saying this like, oh, like, you were ahead of me. You look back, it literally dropped me to my knees.
Yeah.
Because it was just, we've seen it all. We've all seen it. You watch racing or play, the horses long enough, you've seen it. But when it happens like that, and right there at the wire, and you're celebrating, I had Maple Leaf Mill. I had that, I was like so excited, celebrating, like, yeah, and then you go from that to just, and it just knowing instantaneously that she's dead. Mm-hmm. And it was just, I don't know, it took the wind completely out of me. And man, just, just true. And then, she ran just an unbelievable race. I never lost. It's just really a shame. Obviously it's a shame, but just for it to end like that, it just, it was hard. It was hard. It's still hard to kind of get past that, because I don't know. It's kind of gone from that to, to racing to, like, man, I hope they just finished the race,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I totally agree. You just kind of, it feels a lot like Santa Anita back in the day when they were having all those problems. You'd watch the race, and you'd count how many, started the race, and then you would count how many crossed the wire, and I don't think it's to that point, but it kind of started to feel like it's like, yeah, let's just hope everybody comes home safe, and it's rough. It's rough. And we're not even getting into all the other issues they've had with taking races off the turf 1 minute to post before the Big Five.
And yeah, that happened Sunday after another break. The breakdown we talked about. I mean, that was a freaking disaster in itself.
Yeah. So, and now, like I said, we haven't been on the turf since. So there's obviously, problems with the turf, and that's no surprise to anybody that watches the races there. There's been bobbles and stumbles on that turf. It's bad right now. This is not fun times for the sport, and it should be, because this should be the highlight of the season, other than maybe the Triple Crown, obviously, but it's just not. Now, thankfully, Del Mar having a really nice meet, but boy, Saratoga, man, it's a lot of it's bad luck. The weather. They can't. They can't control that. But some of this other stuff, it's like, yeah, this is not good.
Yeah, it happened multiple times Saturday. We noticed it on Saturday. Like you see these horses were running down the stretch. I'm pretty sure it cost a few horses, at least placing, if not a win. That bobbled in the stretch,
Yep.
and took a weird step. And I mean, thank goodness they were okay. And then obviously it wasn't bad enough apparently to keep them off the turf on Sunday. And we saw what happened. So everyone we talked to was like, yeah, it's a bog. It's still a bog, which it probably was. I mean, it rained a ton.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's just the the incompetency, I think, of it all. It's just like, if you're gonna say, let's go to Friday, it's like, okay, if you want to take off the Hall of Fame, if you want to take it off the turf, maybe you only have 3 horses run or whatever, like, at least that's fine. Like, I think everyone understands, like, like you said, the weather is the weather. You can't do anything about it. Or if you want to cancel it immediately, I mean, that sucks, but it's like, just sit there forever and then wait for the rain to stop and then say, oh wait, we're going to cancel it. And it just is like, okay, that makes no sense. I mean, like you said, we walked out of there and it was perfectly, the weather was fine.
Yeah.
And so it's just like little stuff. It's not really necessarily that it's happening, it's how it's being handled right now. And like the pick 5 thing is just, I think if you tried to explain that to like a serious, just general sports bettor, like, hey, by the way, in our sport, this is what I mean, it'd be like someone making a bet, in an NFL game, and then as they're like lined up to kick the opening kickoff, you find out, oh, by the way, Mahomes is out. Oh, go ahead, and you're just like, whatever. I mean, I know it's different, but it's not that different in a sense of you're changing the situation of the game, of how you might make the bets right as soon as they're starting.
Yeah, Mahomes is out, and you're getting 10 times worse a price than you would have got if he was playing. I mean, that's kind of what it was. Like, it's like you got even money on the Chiefs, and then 30 seconds before kickoff, they go, Mahomes is out, and now you're minus 800.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Wait, can I change this? No, can't change it. No. What? Like, it's a disaster. And the biggest, I shouldn't say the biggest. There's 3 real fundamental problems, and the people running horse racing having no idea who their customer is, how their customer thinks. It's insane that you are that out of touch. It would be like us. I mean, seriously, it's really this bad. It would be like us saying, hey, we've got 10 races offered here at Saratoga today for our customers. We know you guys want all 10 races, so go ahead and buy it. We got all 10. And then they buy it, and there's only 4 races on the card. And so you get an email, and you're like, well, it says 10 races. Why is there only 4? And we're like, I don't know. That's literally what it is. Like, that's how out of touch most of the people running things and racing, that's how out of touch they are with their customer. I think, I was talking to Samich about it. It's like, I think in their head, they took it off the turf and they thought, well, that's all right. Before those races come, they can rehandicap them. They're not even thinking that, well, what about the pick 5s? What about the pick 3s? What about the doubles? What about the 4? They're not even thinking about that because they're clueless on who the customer is. And if you watch the interview with the NYRA CEO on Talking Horses, you realize he's absolutely fucking clueless about who his customer is. Is he clueless about like how to run like the schematics of a business? Probably not. But is he clueless on who actually makes his company run or his organization run? Yes. And it was clear. He didn't have any idea about the gambler, how all of it works. He was clueless. So,
and that, in a nutshell, is the problem of the sport entirely, because it's all ran of what we think we want to do, and we don't care what anyone else thinks or does.
Yep.
And they just operate how they want to operate. And the bottom line is, they know people are still going to wager. They're still going to bet. Yep. I mean, yeah, we'll be pissed for a day, but tomorrow I'll handicap and I'll bet again. And that's the reality of it. And I think until that changes, until we start seeing people walk away from the game, which honestly, you add in the deaths, and you add in this kind of shit, and you add in the cancellations and whatever, like we're diehards. And even I'm like, Lee, I don't know how much more I can take of this.
It's time to stop kidding. Long term, this game is dead. And I'm sure people will comment, no, long term, this game is dead. We're not making new people. There's no way new people are going to join this game. It's just not going to happen. Now, in our lifetimes, Jared, we're in Magic, see you're on here, and a lot of the people on here in your lifetimes probably going to be around. I think it's going to contract over the years, but we're going to be around. But the biggest difference is new people, younger people, they're going to not, if they, they're going to be like, well, I don't want to sit there and watch horses die. Okay. That's a group of people. Or these younger people that have sports readily available for them to bet now. And then they say, well, let's try racing. And then something like what we're describing happens. They're going to go, you know what? No, I think I'll just bet the NFL. I don't really need to go bet this race. Less and less new fans are coming into this game. And long-term, this thing is dead, and it is totally on the hands of the incompetence of horse racing upper management. And it's on the hands of people in horse racing that have control over data feeds and won't let anybody use them, and have control over videos and won't let anybody use them, because they don't care about the sport. They don't care about growing the sport. They care about themselves. They care about making money, period. They want to hold anybody down that's new, period. That's what it is. That's from guys that have been in it for 10 years and try to get to higher levels and get held down by these people. And it happens over and over and over. And that's just it. I mean, that's the facts of it. And you could argue with me all you want. I don't really care, because I live it. I live it every day. I see it up close every day. It's just going to get worse unless there's some drastic changes in the sport.
It's the good old boys. That's what we operate. If you're in it, if you've been in it for a long time or whatever, then that's fine. But the newcomers, we've had to fight and claw, and honestly, if we weren't as persistent and hardworking, and I don't want to like pat ourselves on the back, but there's been a lot of times where we could have said, fuck it. Like we'll just, this is not worth it. And honestly, I'm starting to have that conversation with myself, because it's hard to consider. It's like kind of like banging your head against the wall over and over and expecting something different to happen than to get like a headache. And it's just like, no, well, I keep doing it, and it kind of feels like you're trying to grow a business or trying to grow a sport or whatever with your hands tied behind your back and your mouth, closed, and you can't do anything, can't say anything, can't operate. Dude, I'll never forget. The funniest thing happened, and I think I've told you this. I may have said it on the show, but it's like when I was talking to a buddy, someone I knew, acquaintance, or I don't remember who it was, but it was like talking about horse racing. Let's talk about something happened. Draw something out of the hat. Something shitty happened, and they're like, I can't believe the commissioner, or I can't remember how they said it, but did the commissioner not like enforce anything? I'm like, I just started laughing. I thought, oh no, we don't have one of those actually. So like, what? It's like that's like step one. How do you expect other people to take you seriously if we don't even know how to handle our shit ourselves? And that how we can't compete with the sports, forget about it. I realize this is a very much of a downer situation here, but like, we're gonna say how we feel. And I think I don't know how many years, it's gonna be many years, but there'll be a point. You know how we look at harness racing when we go, we're like, let's just go fuck around the harness track, like whatever.
I did that 2 weekends ago. Yeah,
that's what horse racing is going to be.
That's what it is. If you weren't in it, that's
what
it is.
On a bigger level, but
true.
But then you'll start seeing, well, the Derby's not on NBC anymore; it's on NBC Sports, and then from NBC Sports, it's going to be on Fox Sports 2, and then after that, you know what I mean? It's going to slowly. It's not going to just go away tomorrow, but it's going to slowly go, and then eventually it'll be like, hey, you want to go to Oaklawn? Like, let's go to Saratoga, and it's like it's just not going to have the same thing about it, because people aren't betting it, and I don't blame them.
Do you have any family or friends that aren't in the horse racing industry that have any care or knowledge or even know that it's around?
I haven't had one person ask me who won the Whitney.
No.
How was the Whitney?
Nope.
Nothing.
Nope.
They asked me about the horse that died.
Yep.
So.
I have no family members that care that it exists. I have no friends I went to high school with, friends I went to college with. Never do they ask me about it, ever.
No.
It's not, I mean, even this year, like in the Derby, they didn't even really ask, maybe one or two, You're right. I mean, it's, and you talk about lack of leadership. The Triple Crown is getting ready to basically just go away because of this lack of leadership and all parties acting for their own sake.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the next thing that's going to come up. The Triple Crown is in jeopardy of being in huge trouble. If you missed it, Pimlico wants to move to 4 weeks after the Derby. And NYRA says, we have no interest in moving, which would essentially mean we're going to run the Preakness and then a week later run the Belmont. And you may laugh at that. You may go, oh, that'll never happen. That's crazy. That will 100% happen, in my opinion. I really think there's a good chance that's going to happen and effectively ruin the only marketing tool this sport has to the masses, right? Listen, we have marketing tools for people that are in the game. But for the mainstream public, the Triple Crown is the only thing that we have, and they're getting ready to ruin it.
Yep. Yeah. So the report was the CEO of First Racing, which is like Pimlico and that group. They told Thoroughbred Daily News that they want to move it to 4 weeks out from the Kentucky Derby, which obviously it's not. It's 2 weeks right now, and so it's 5 weeks is where those right currently the 5 week gap or the 5 week 3 races, and obviously like you said, a week later it'd be the Belmont. And it's just it's so like it's so horse racing though, where it's like, well, we're gonna keep it at like we have it, we're not changing anything. You're like, oh, okay, that's great. And honestly, that wouldn't surprise me if that's what happens if we do try to change it. And then, are you in a couple of years? 2 years? The reports are that Saratoga might have the Belmont. So then are we gonna have the Belmont a week later after the Preakness? And I mean, what a joke that really is in general. I mean, give me a break. Listen, I mean, I'm at the point now where I don't give a shit. Change it. It doesn't matter. Change it. Like, what good are we doing now? So I mean, honestly though, dude, I don't know. I've had, even though like the Triple Crown matters when we have one on the line, but like as far as like the regular viewers, right? But like, if like I've had people like I talk about horse racing stuff like I didn't even realize they ran after the Derby, and I mean I realize how wild that sounds, but a lot of people don't realize there's anything after that, and that's it. And that's like in recent years, like since we've had 2 Triple Crowns, and so it's like they still don't even really know there's anything after the Kentucky Derby, and that in itself is a problem because if they don't care, why do we care?
Exactly. What can I really add to that? I mean, that's just another.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's just get it all out in one weekend, just Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's gonna happen. It's a mess. We're in a mess right now, and put all this behind us and say Saratoga has a great last 19 days of the meet, and everything's going great, and we lead up to the Breeders' Cup. We have a great Breeders' Cup. If we turn the corner and that's what happens to the Triple Crown, I mean, you're right back in the mess. And it's been a rough week. Let's just, I guess, end it, wrap it up with that. Yeah. I mean, it's just been rough.
So on that note, let's do some horse racing picks. What do you guys say? Today's show, we're going to give picks and preview Saturday's $500,000 Fourstardave Handicap at Saratoga, a Breeders' Cup winning you're in for the 2023 Breeders' Cup FanDuel Mile. Then we're going to give rapid fire selections for some of the remaining stakes races this weekend at Saratoga, Del Mar, and I think, don't quote me on this, but maybe making its debut on the podcast, Colonial Downs making an appearance. We will get apparently the Arlington Million is now at Colonial Downs, including the $100,000 or $1 million Arlington Million. Let's go. Might as well be a $100,000 race. We're just changing it up every year, changing it to a new track. Yeah, falls. Listen, like there's to a point where I get it, but and I'm not saying Christopher, like I mean, I like we have at some point our choices are to just keep bitching, nothing changes, or just sadly go with the status quo, keep doing what everyone else is doing, not give a shit, and just keep moving on until the horse racing world dies. Because at that, like, what are we supposed to do? So we're until something else happens, we're gonna just go back to talking about horse racing.
What I've
That makes
learned is that's all the media. That's not fair. The majority of the media, when bad things happen, it's just on to the next, on to the next. They just ignore it,
Yep.
Not that they could do anything about it, they can't. So that could be the right attitude.
I would like to give a special shout out to not just Magic, but really anyone, but especially Magic because he's on our team. But to anyone that had to be live during or after Saturday's test, because we were obviously there. We were not live though. I mean, you and I, we were able to kind of sit in silence or whatever, and just kind of not. But Magic, poor guy, like they just kicked off the live stream, and then that happened, and trying to kind of reboot from that. And I don't know, I have not heard or anything like what happened with Naira and how they kind of or TVG or any of the stations, like just anything that would have been tough. If we were live, I don't know that I could have kept on just pretending like I care about the Saratoga Derby and the Whitney.
Seemed like a lot of I was hearing that people in the comments were like, do what you want to do, because I think he ended it for a minute. They kind of went away. People were like, just kind of do what you want to do, but we wish you would kind of stay on. So I think they stayed on because of that.
Yeah, it's tough. I get it. So, but by the way, we didn't really even talk about the actual race, but Cody's Wish is not going to Classic. I think we can establish that now.
White Barrio is
training up to it too, which makes it just so easy to predict.
Shut up! Are you serious?
He's training to it, yeah. Well, that's what they're leaning towards right now, is training up to the race. Because according to his trainer, Dutro, that the horse does better off of layoffs.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So that'll make it easy to know. Vinny, dirt mile. I mean, makes sense. It's hard to believe a horse would be that. I mean, obviously he did not run his A race. I think we can establish that, but it's hard to believe a horse could be as good and as bad as he was, going in a difference of a mile and a mile and eighth. So
well, when they popped the gate, his head was sideways and he didn't get out very well. And that was it. He didn't get involved at all. Listen, the thing about it is he could have ran the best race of his life and he wouldn't have beat White Barrio.
Which really would have been, I mean, that would have made it even worse as far as to stomach that one. At least Cody's Wish was not even in the conversation necessarily. Finished third, beaten by a mile. But if he would have ran like a bang up race, and still got beat by White Barrio, you're just like, give me a fucking break,
Well, and let's not even, horse racing has so many problems that we spent 25 minutes talking about them and didn't even mention, where did that come from? A trainer that's been suspended 10 years comes back, gets a horse. He's already got a grade 1 win. And the horse runs a race that he hasn't even, it hasn't even been a wet dream of his to run that good. And this is not a hate on White Barrio session or even a Dutro hate, to be honest, but where did that come? Like, people are like, I told you White Barrio. It's like, he didn't improve like a couple links. He was in another stratosphere. I mean, not surprised when Cody's Wish didn't run very well. It's like, okay, yeah, White Barrio could win for sure. We talked about it. If Cody's Wish doesn't do well, any of the 5 can win. If White Barrio wins by a couple links, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But a no doubt 110 buyer run off the screen. I mean, it was just like, I don't, where did that come from?
I mean, I don't know that, many people are curious about where it came from, but it's like, and we even said, like, what's the worst horse I could win after this day, after the day that this
Yeah.
racing, not just us, but just in general, the horse racing has had. What's the worst horse? And it was like, well, it's obviously White Barrio, like considering, and I hate to say that because like the horse has done nothing wrong, but considering the trainer used to be trained by Safi, trained by Dutrow, the former villain of horse racing, and it's just like, oh, and he wins by a mile.
Well, I want to be very clear before I get accused of, oh, you're just mad because you didn't bet him. That result meant nothing to me from bet. I had one of the best betting days ever. Okay. So I don't care that Cody's Wish got beat. I don't care. That's not what this is. I do care when a horse runs like 15 lengths better than he's ever run. And again, this is not White Barrio hate. We've had the owner on this channel before. I bet White Barrio many times at Gulfstream as a 3-year-old. I've chased him some after. It's not any of that. So don't even start with that comment because I know people will say, oh, you're just mad. I just want somebody to explain to me how he could run that good.
Yeah. Yeah. And to just, like you say, if you think he's going to win, that's fine. If you picked him, great. But even if you picked him and thought he would win the whole time, you never thought, well, he's going to demolish that field. I mean, anyone runs a 110, you're like, well, that horse will win, just based off who was in the race, right? And so it's like, for him to run that race, though, is just. But now it's a huge problem because, like I said, he's training up to the Classic. At least that's the latest of what I've heard. And if he does, a horse that came out of, I mean, I don't want to say came out of nowhere, but I mean, that performance came out of nowhere. And now you got to sit on that and wonder, what is he going to do in the Classic? He's probably going to be sub 10-1, right? He's going to be like 8-1, 6-1, depending on what happens between now and then with other races. And so it's like, you're going to have to sit on that one and just wonder, is he going to do it again?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a problem for sure because he's now obviously going out to Santa Anita as well and got to compete with, well, out there. So you just never know. Anyways,
Yeah, I'm done.
Saturday, Saratoga race 9, the Fourstardave Handicap. It's a grade 1 worth $500,000. A handicap for 3-year-olds and up, going 1 mile on the inner turf. Listen, you've got it's a Breeders Cup race, so it's a race obviously it's got implications. Breeders Cup win for the what is it for the mile, right? Mm-hmm. So the Fourstardave and the Beverly D, we got two Breeders Cup winner ends this weekend. Field of 7, and it's really between, I mean, at least on paper, between the 6 Casa Creed and the 4 Annapolis at 8-5 and 7-5. Emmanuel in there as well, if you want to throw him in there, the other Pletcher, I guess you can call it, at 3-1. But really between those two, maybe 3. Where are you going?
Yeah, look, I don't know how you go against. Well, let me back up. Who knows what this turf course is going to be like? Who knows they're going to be on the turf? Let's pretend like the course is normal and everything's normal. I don't know how you beat Casa Creed in here unless you're Emmanuel. That's a horse that he hasn't really faced. But Casa Creed was a pretty easy winner over Annapolis last time out, so I don't have a lot of interest in playing Annapolis. I just don't see a situation where he turns the corner and turns the tide on Casa Creed unless it's just a really bad trip or something like that. I guess Emmanuel could get it done. He did look pretty good last time out in the poker. But for me, I think it's Casa Creed's race to lose, man. He loves Saratoga. He loves going a mile. He looks awful tough in here to me.
Yeah, the winner of this race last year as well. Won the Fourstardave Dave over Regal Glory, and Mason, of course, did not win again until last time out, like you mentioned, the Kelso, where the horse did kind of roll against Annapolis. I'm with you. I think he's easily the one to beat. I don't know how you can beat him. Certainly not Annapolis. Well, that's who I'm picking. I'm picking the 4 Annapolis. So, listen, the reason why, and I get it. Like, it's hard to, like, if they're going to be floating right there at the same price, it's going to be tough to play. But I'm hoping that Annapolis floats up a bit. And the reason why is I look at this race and I look at this horse and I'm thinking, I went back and watched the Kelso closely, and I thought Annapolis got a weird ride. I thought he was further back than he probably needed to be. Irad has ridden this horse every single time. I think that was interesting as well. Irad jumps to Annapolis. Obviously, I don't know if he jumps, but he's rode that. Also rode Emmanuel the last couple of times as well. So to me, that tells me Annapolis is the pletcher you want. And he once he got in the clear, once he got running. Obviously, Casa Creed got the jump on him, but once he got up there, like he was running with him, he just was too far back. I think if he can get a little bit better trip, this becomes a lot more competitive of a race between those two. So I'm taking Annapolis to kind of maybe get a rematch, a little bit of revenge on Casa Creed. But I really think it's between those two. I frankly would be a little surprised. Emmanuel's been great at times, right? He's tough to kind of guess, and he is a very versatile horse. The class is stepping up here for him, certainly for sure, but he certainly could do it. I don't. I would almost like to see Emmanuel on the front end, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that would make sense. You look at this race, there's not a lot of pace. The three, My Sea Cottage, oddly enough, who I had picked to win the last race last week, and he scratched out of it. He's now the lone speed in this race, so he's going from a starter allowance up to this.
You still picking him, right?
I'm not picking him in this one, but I did put him in fourth because I thought, you know what, he might stick around because he is that lone speed. But hopefully Emmanuel, like I said, can kind of go up there. And I think that's how you kind of turn the tables ish, as you kind of get a little bit further ahead. Maybe Annapolis can do that as well. I totally agree with your comment on Annapolis as far as probably not the preferred trip in the Kelso. And also I thought he was pretty good in that race. Like I didn't step away and go, boy, Annapolis, not very good in that one. I thought he showed up with his race. And that's why I even more am like, I just think Casa Creed is a little better than he is up at Saratoga specifically. So that's why I went Casa Creed here. But, to be fair, I picked Annapolis the first time they matched up, and I was wrong. So we'll see here if maybe Annapolis can turn the tables. He certainly has a lot of quality, and he ran pretty well last time out. I can't argue that.
I mean, I love Casa Creed. This is a horse that's been, he's now 7 years old and has continued to kind of run. I mean, he ran 100 buyer that day in that Kelso, and has really been what he runs every race, really, for the most part, for the last couple of years. And so it's really incredible what he's able to do, especially the way he kind of runs. That you can kind of count on him for the most part to perform every single time. So I certainly think he, like Nick, you said, 5 starts at Saratoga, 3 wins, 2 thirds. So, I mean, he shows up at Saratoga every single time. So I think it really is. I'm probably going to play those two. It depends. I haven't looked at the total sequence. Obviously, I looked at race 8. We'll talk about the Saratoga special here coming up in rapid fire. But I haven't totally looked at the sequence there. So, I might have to go thin in this spot. I might leave Emmanuel out though, just because I'm okay with leaving everyone else out. Obviously, wouldn't you be shocked if anyone else other than those 3 wins?
No, yeah, I would be. I definitely would be. I'm kind of scanning his Detro have one. No, he doesn't. No, I would be. I would be pretty shocked if anybody but those 3 win. They seem like the 3 big standouts, and yeah, I mean, Ice Chocolate is a horse that sometimes could run well, but I just don't think he's quite as good as those top 3.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, that's the only horse I looked at a little bit, right? The 7 Ice Chocolate, just because it's like he's been competitive somewhat. Jumped up to the mile last time out. Hadn't ran in the mile longer than 7 furlongs in quite some time. Cassie put him in there. Ran 4th, only beaten 2 1/4 to the same 2 in this race, and you got to think maybe if the horse gets another start at this distance, gets Rosario aboard here, crazier things have happened, I suppose, at Saratoga. So that would be the only one. I would almost, just to juice it up, it would only you consider using that horse underneath those 2 or something like that, just to get creative. But I really think it's between those 2. Do you think Annapolis? I think this is a big race for Annapolis because we know what Casa Creed is. I mean, Casa Creed he's 7. He's a big time horse. He's been doing this for a long time. Annapolis, he's only 4. We haven't seen a lot of him. Certainly haven't seen a lot of him this year. It was only his 3rd race this year, but he's kind of we need to see him kind of, is he, yes, he does have a grade 1 under his belt, but is he kind of that Breeders' Cup type horse? Is he that kind of horse, or is he a really good, grade 2, grade 3, occasional grade 1 kind of horse? I think this is a big race for him to kind of go up, gets a horse like Casa Creed and find out.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree. It's a big time race because he's won big races, good races, but he's never been able to beat like this kind of horse.
Right.
So I think
Right.
he's never been able to consistently, string together races like this, I should say. So it's a big one for him. I think he is a Breeders' Cup type. I don't know if he's good enough to win it or not, but like if he wins this one, he obviously is, because this is not an easy race, and this has produced a lot of Breeders' Cup Mile winners over the years. So it's a huge race for him. I totally agree, because if he runs like third and it's like he ran as good as he could run, he just got beat again, then it's like, yeah, okay, we kind of know what we got with this, and it's not a world
Yeah.
beater.
Yeah, I'd even go as far as saying, like, if he runs like the same race as he did against, like, if those two run the same race and like they did in the Kelso, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
then you just say, well, I don't know that Casa Creed is necessarily like he's certainly not like a shoe in for any kind of Breeders' Cup race,
No.
and he can't compete with him, right? And so I think you need to see him turn the tables, really, in order for him to kind of say, okay, that is a good horse, or I don't want to say he's not a good horse, but that is like a legit Breeders' Cup type horse. So
Yep.
because both these horses ran in the Breeders' Cup last year, obviously different races. Casa Creed on the turf sprint did not run well, and then Annapolis was, he was off like a 5-1 in the Breeders' Cup Mile and ran awful. Finished 11th that day, never really, ran at all. So, he's one that you'd like to see get back to the Breeders' Cup and see if he can turn the tables and get that win. But he's gonna have to do it here in the 4-star Dave. I've got Annapolis. Halterman is going with number 6, Casa Creed. Yeah, that's a good race. It's gonna be a fun race to see those two. Even though it seems like it's just those two, to see how. I really think we need to, like, Annapolis needs to get the jump on him. That's the
Yep.
biggest thing, and he didn't get that last time.
Yep.
He may not be able to hold him off, right? But I think if he can get the jump on him, it's certainly, like, Annapolis went wide, like even wider than Casa Creed last time out, and it was behind him. It was just not like it's not the trip that you want from him.
I think sometimes when you're a big favorite, like he was a big favorite last time out, you ride a little differently than when you're a horse, or when you're on a horse that, he's an underdog. You know what I mean? Like, I think he just said, oh, I could just ride him like the best horse, and he wasn't the
Right.
best horse. So will he get a little more creative? Will he think about those kind of things you're laying out this time is going to be, the big question. And probably yes is the answer. When you get beat, you try new things. So that's probably what'll happen. They'll try to get the jump on him. They'll try to get a little bit more ahead of him this time, and we'll see if it works out.
Yeah, you try. I think, like you're saying, like you kind of try to. Uh, you assume you can go wide. You assume you
Yeah.
can lay off of this pace or whatever. You can go inside. You can cut the corners, whatever you need to do, because you're the one. The 4-5 shot. You should win or whatever. And so, like you're saying, like if you play like, oh shit, like we need to. I need to make sure I ride a perfect race here against Casa Creed.
Mm-hmm.
You maybe see the jockey a little more, I don't know, on it. So that's a good point. All right, time for Rapid Fire, presented by Racing Dudes Best Bets. If you haven't checked out Racing Dudes Best Bets, make sure you go over to racingdudes.com right now and check it out on the homepage there. You just look at the main menu and look at Best Bets. Click that, and you'll see the Best Bets page. It's also on the screen right here if you're watching us live or on YouTube. Look, this is the Best Bets page. We've got everything from, obviously NFL coming up here, MLB, NBA, NHL, but obviously we focus on horse racing, especially this time of the year with Saratoga and Del Mar running. You can get an idea of everyone's, records, how they're doing, how they've done this week, the profits they've done all time. You can go down here to the bottom. You can see the leaderboard, see how everyone's doing like all time. You can go down to last week. You can go down to everything you want to get an idea. Oh, wow. Last week was not good for me. -6 95. It was a rough week last week. But listen, that's what makes it great. You can go through and say, hey, this is how these guys are doing. And I want to fade them. I want to play them. You can go through and see how they've done, race by race or pick by pick, and just get an idea of not. It's a lot of people ask us, hey, who do you like? You have all these picks for Saratoga today, but who do you really like? Well, this is your way to do it. Who's Jared? Who's Aaron? Who do we really like on today's card? How are we playing that race? It's very similar to the best or to the betting Bible. So if you downloaded those before, it's very similar to that. Only you get it every day. Go to the best bets page at racingdudes.com to learn more. All right, let's go to the race prior to the Fourstardave, race 8 at Saratoga on Saturday. It is the Saratoga Special. It's a grade 2. We're $200K for 2-year-olds. Dude, this is always a fun race every year. 6.5 furlongs, field of 6 shows up here. 4 to 5 on rhyme schemes for the Cassie horse, Norm Cassie. 7 to 2 on Edified. Hall at 3 to 1. Those are your top 3 choices. Where are you going here? You believe in the 4 to 5 shot?
Yeah, I'm going to take him. I'm going to take number 6 Rhyme Schemes on top here. I think he's pretty darn good. If he runs back to that last race, they're going to have a hard time beating him. But I'm using 2 horses here. I'm using number 4 Hall as well. And the thing about him, he kind of won from a little bit off of it, not much, but a little bit. And I think he'll kind of sit a decent trip. And if the 6 isn't the real deal, I think the 4 Hall is going to be the one to jump up there and pick him up late. So I thought it was a really good debut for the 4. I thought it was a better second race, though, for the 6. I think the 6 will be really tough. So 6-4 is where I'm leaning in this one.
Yeah, I it's a tough race, and I think these got a couple of good horses in here. I have a feeling that no matter who I pick, Market Street and D-Wayne Lucas is going to beat me. I'm just going. I'm like that's happened to me twice already this meet. Whoever I really like in this race and pick, I'll probably have a saver bet on the 2 horse because that happens every time. And it's even like the last one a little bit. It's like, well, you're in pretty good on debut, and then it was bad in the next race. It's like, of course he rebounds here. But no, listen, I went with the number 4 Hall for Todd Pletcher. Irad Ortiz on the mount here, has been working really well. I would look at a lot of works when it comes to these kind of horses or these kind of races with these 2-year-olds and the lightly raced ones. Listen, I mean, the 6 is going to be tough. And that horse runs anywhere near, I don't know if that's a real number, if the 94 buyer, I know the horse got a big time form as well on that last race for rhyme schemes. If he runs anywhere near that, if that's a legit number, it's not going to matter. That's a legit number for a second start for a 2-year-old. But I'm assuming that was a little bit of an inflated number. So give me number 4 Hall. This horse has been working with the Pirate, that horse that for Todd Pletcher that ran really well on debut as well, and outworking him, frankly. And it kind of the word is in the barn, this has kind of become the horse they like is from the 2-year-old department, at least right now. So give me the 4 Hall. D'Angelo Hall? No, not that Hall. Listen, what is this? Your picks. You've been on fire today at Del Mar, Alterman.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thanks, Vicky. Good to see you too. I don't see you as quite as much because I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I'm glad you're here. And yeah, it was a good day. Cruising Man won the 6th at 6 to 1. Horse was like 12 to 1 a couple minutes before post and went down to 6 to 1. But still, yeah, it was a good day. It was a really good day for the free picks. And it was good. Really good. Hey, I wanted to mention Just Steel and BU, the horse you're talking about, the Lucas horse, that just beat out BU.
Yeah.
I would keep a hard eye on those 2 horses moving forward. I think they're both really good. I saw quotes from Lucas. Of course, he's talking Just Steel up, but he ran pretty good. The number came back good. And Lucas even said in the interview, he goes, Just Steel is going to probably be better when he stretches out. He said, there's no doubt Todd's horse is going to be better stretching out. So keep an eye out for Just Steel and BU. It was the second race on Whitney Day. It was a really sharp race. So keep an eye for those 2.
Really, really good race. It was just, we obviously watched, they hit the wire at the same time. And it was just the one looked like a winner. The 2 fought back. It was a really good race from both of those horses. And then there was the I'm gonna have to look it up now. What was the horse's name that ran on Sunday? That was really impressive as well.
Oh, Ways and Means. Yeah, that was a filly for Chad Brown. And
that's filly that time. Mm-hmm.
That looked like a monster to me.
Yes. Yes. Very on the dirt. Very, very impressive 2-year-olds. So there's a couple 2-year-olds both in each department there that have some signs of life here as we get into that kind of season. So yeah, I'm with you. I thought those horses on Saturday were really,
So,
really impressive. Over under, just Steel running 8 times before January 1st. It's going to be close. I'll go the under,
over,
but maybe 6.
over. Uh, from a time form standpoint, Ways and Me's got a 98. Now, of course, she was under wraps, barely asked to run. So, take that for what you want to take that. But 106 and a 105 for Just Steel and BU.
Yeah, Bright Work was good too, Vicky. You're
Yeah.
starting to see these horses, and not to mention, there's been a bunch out west that have looked really impressive.
Yep.
Both for Baffert, Mandela had one the other day. I think it was on Saturday as well. The Baffert horse, what was that horse's name? The Justify colt that
Heartland is who you're talking about.
Heartland. That's a nice horse. Go watch Heartland's debut a couple weekends ago. I think it was 2 weekends ago at Saturday. That's at Del Mar. I believe it was the first race of the day, and this horse won. Like 2-year-olds aren't really supposed to win, so it was an impressive race. So make sure they're starting to pop out here.
113 time form number for Heartland. Obviously, that's higher than anybody else. Again, these are just numbers. They don't mean that much, but there is one way to kind of gauge, the talent level. So Heartland, popped a pretty big race. They're on debut.
Justify colt too, right? Isn't that a Justify? Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's go to the next one here. Let's go to Colonial Downs. That's right. You heard it here first. Colonial Downs is on blinkers off, and we're going to race number 8. I won't get it. It's so perfect. The first Colonial Downs race that I can remember we covered on here. That Silver Knot is in the race. Race 8, the Secretariat Stakes, grade 2, $500,000 for 3-year-olds. Going 1 mile on the inner turf, field of 8. Shows up here, Halterman. 5-2 on Negrock. 5-1 on Mustache, Northern Invader 8-1, 6-1 Major Dude, More Than Looks at 5-1, and Silver Knot, you're 3-1 horse. Where are you going here, man?
Yeah, I'm not going Silver Knot, but I'm kind of with Kevin B. It's like, put him in the winner's circle since I'm not going with him finally. I would Nagarock. I think he bounces back. I thought he was running a very good race, and just for whatever reason, just kind of fell a little bit flat in the stretch last time out. I think he runs better here. I like Nagarock a lot. And, on that day at Belmont that we're talking about where it looked like Nagarock was home free and got caught, a lot of those motion horses just didn't finish that day. One that you really needed, well, we both really needed, didn't finish either or later in the card. But I think Nagarock gets it done in this spot.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So I appreciate that. Still not over that one. Listen, I think that he's going to be awful tough to beat here. I'm going to try to do so, though. Give me the number at number 5, Northern Invader. Give me a nice juice. I'm taking prices, FYI, on the Colonial Downs card here. Northern Invader, 8-1. Johnny Velasquez gets the mount, rode the horse on the turf debut last time out at Belmont Park in a mile and just ran off the screen. I mean, I get it. It was a maiden special weight. But this horse definitely likes the turf more than the dirt. So I thought that was an interesting move, and it's an interesting move to get this horse right over here to this grade 2. I'm sorry, Secretariat race out here against some, even though some might be like Silver Knot, it might be a below average, or maybe they will, maybe they aren't, but it definitely a step up from a maiden special weight. So the horse is going to have to be the goods. But I like the fact that John Velasquez jumps back on, I should say, shows a lot of speed. So maybe this horse will be tough to run down late in the stretch. So I like the 5 Northern Invader. I like the price more than anything at 8-1. All right, let's go to the next race here. Race 9, the Beverly D. It's a grade 1 with $500,000 fillies, mares, 3-year-olds and up, going 1 3/16 miles on the turf. And it is a Breeders' Cup winner in for the Maker's Mark filly and mare turf this fall at Santa Anita. Field of 7 shows up here. Fev Rover at 2-1, 3-1 on Didia, 5-1 on Gina Romantica, 4-1 on Romag. Let's just give me the worst names. Romagna, Mia, 8-1 on Miss Scene. That's the field. Okay, just pick the horse.
Tough race. I went number 5 Didia on top in here. I think this horse obviously loves Colonial Downs. 2 wins. First 2 races in this country came at Colonial, and there were 2 nice wins. We then went to Fairgrounds and won. Then went to Churchill and won. And got second in a grade 1 last time out at Belmont Park in the New York, but got beat by market segmentation and defeated McCulloch, a horse that came back to win. So Didia for me, there's some love in the chat for Didia as well. I see why you love her. I mean, I do too. I think she's just always shows up with a big effort, almost got the job done. This is another grade 1, but it feels like it's a little bit weaker of a grade 1 than what she tried last time. So give me the 5 Didia on top.
Definitely a cool horse. And I mean, obviously the running lines there of getting beat by McCulloch or beating McCulloch and getting beat by market segmentation, who's a very good horse. I mean, nothing to be ashamed about. It's like, it's got to be the only horses that are in these races that are like legitimate horses that have more than one start at Colonial Downs, and both of them are wins. Like that, the fact that she has that in her back pocket, that, hey, by the way, I've won twice at Colonial Downs, is a nice little, oh, by the way. Listen, I like the 5. Give me the 6 though, Gina Romantica. I kind of have a feeling it's just kind of the Chad Brown. Like, this horse is a horse that he's liked for quite a while since it's been moving on the turf. You know, this is one on the grade 1 at Keeneland to end the year last year, and then came back, ran at Monmouth in June after a long layoff, and just got a little tired late. So you got to think this horse is going to be better this time out. And the fact that, Pratt, who rode this horse all of last year, gets back on the mount. And it just kind of feels like Chad Brown's bringing him to Colonial, and he's going to have a winner or two, right? And so it's, a matter of trying to pick the right one. But this is a $1 million horse. She's ran well. She's a grade 1 winner. Give me the 6, Gina Romantica. I think that's the biggest issue, is which Chad Brown are you picking in a couple of these. All right, race 10, the Arlington Million Stakes. The Arlington Million at Colonial Downs. Say that, and you probably never believed it a couple of years ago. $1 million going 1.25 miles on the turf. Field of 11 lines up here, Halterman, and really it's a tough race. I mean, 7-2 on a tone. I mean, I don't know many people that would have a lot of faith in her at that price, or him at that price. 5-1 on Rock Emperor. I know you like that horse. Catnip, my boy Catnip, couldn't quite get it done last time out. Santine, dude, a couple Chad Browns. Brad Cox is in here. Shug, Maker, where are you going?
Well, it's a great race. There's no doubt about it from a betting standpoint. I think there's a ton of speed in the race, so I do think that a closer is going to win it. Give me number 6 Masterpiece on top at 12-1. I think this horse, second time for Rick Detro. Stop me if you've heard this before. Second time for Rick Detro. I think this horse improves in this race, and I think he's got a ton of pace to run into. I think he gives it a run. I don't know if we'll get 12-1. I don't know if he'll get all the way up there, but I'm going to take him here at this price. I think the 6 Masterpiece is going to be tough to hold off. It also should set up pretty well for the 3 set piece as well. Another horse that likes to come from out of it. And the number 5 Rock Emperor, who likes to come from out of it. I just couldn't swallow set piece of Rock Emperor. I just didn't want to do it. Masterpiece, not one that I've bet a whole lot during his career. So I'll take a shot with him here. Second time out for Dutro.
Dutro, man. When he's hot, he's hot. Gotta play him.
Let's see.
I'm gonna play against him here. I'm going with a similar strategy though, just maybe different horse. And this is a horse I've bet many times in the past, and unfortunately, I'm still waiting to cash a ticket on. How about the 9 at Hadmo? I know.
Oh.
Good friends don't let friends bet on a Hadmo, but you're going to let me because I'm going to do it. Listen, hear me out. Here's why I'm doing it. 1, the pace collapse. I think we can both agree on that. The other parts to this is a horse that, since he got with Chad Brown, went and finished second by Nostril at Fairgrounds. From there, he entered the horse straight to the Turf Classic, grade 1, finished third, straight to the Manhattan, grade 1, finished second. Straight to the United Nations, a grade 1. Straight to the Door Sword Dancer. Straight to the Turf Classic. All grade 1s. This horse has done nothing but run in grade 1s. If this horse sucked, he wouldn't continue running this horse in grade 1s. And so I think this horse just needs, I mean, it's got to be there. I mean, this horse is, there's a reason he keeps running this horse. The pace collapse. This horse has shown to run well at times, has ran a 103, a 104 buyer last year in the Manhattan in the United Nation, winning the United Nation. So is it possible? I think the horse can do it. Is it like is it likely? I mean, it's 10-1. So let's take a shot. So bottom line is, like, if you get a price, I mean, pretty much everyone you like here. I'm not betting the tone at 7-2. I'll let that horse beat me, right? At that price. Set piece, not really interested in set piece. It's hard to get excited about anyone in here. So I'm just going to go with a horse that I think is going to benefit from the pace setup, and hopefully the horse shows up. So give me the 9 at Admo.
I put the horse on the, I haven't finalized it, but I've got the horse on the ticket because it's Pratt, it's Brown, the horse can close, and there's a lot of speed. But I kind of low-key hate him as well.
Oh, I don't low-key hate him. I do hate him. Catnip will probably win, although I kind of feel like Catnip that was his chance that last time. That was his big race and couldn't quite get it done. And yeah, Kevin, we do, like, it's scary how, like, if there's a horse, like, we're never going to get this one home. So I would appreciate just let me know and I'll do it the same if you need me to. We'll probably both do the same thing where the other one's going to keep it and the horse will win. We won't make any money off of it. So, but
that's the spirit.
What about Rock Emperor? Who do you like more, Rock Emperor or Hadmo?
Rock Emperor.
Ugh. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you, but either that's a weird question to ask anything. Anyways,
I don't like either one.
I just think it's in there. I think it's in there somewhere with Hadmo. And the other like weird one is Santine. Like, is it in there with him still? I don't know. Maybe not, but he's obviously he can win. I mean, he won this race. Was it last year?
Well, I don't understand why they brought him into took him to the dirt. Like, that was weird.
Here's what's wild about him. It's like, and it's like not like, I mean, it's Godolphin. It's Brendan Walsh. Like, it's not like they don't know what they're doing. I mean,
right.
The horse has only ran 3 times on the turf since winning a grade 1. And it's just like they just went. In fact, not only did they run on the dirt the last 2, they threw in a synthetic in there.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Like, I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah, so I mean, could that horse win? I think the question here is, could that horse win? I think you could make a case for almost all of them. Could that horse win here? Yeah, sure. I mean, what if this sits a 10? Win for the money. 20-1. Mark Cassidy. This horse has been undefeated on the turf. Maybe gets out in the lead. Doesn't look back.
Could.
Unlikely, but could. All right. I've got Hadmo. There you go. A Hadmo runs in the back of the pack. Oh yeah, we got Delmar. Let's do Delmar. I don't know about him, but we're price hunting here. All right, let's go to Delmar for the final one here. Race 9, the Yellow Ribbon Handicap Grade 2. We're $250K for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Going 1 1/16 miles on the turf. Field of 7 lines up here, and dude, it's one of those races that the highest price is 8-1. I mean, it's pretty evenly matched here across the board. The lowest price is only 5-2 on closing remarks on the inside. So it seems like a pretty wide open race from a betting standpoint and as well on paper. So where are you going?
I'm going with the highest price. I'm going to go with the number 2, Turner Loose, on top here at 8-1. Look, this horse is going to Phil D'Amato, who is the king of the turf out at Del Mar and Santa Anita. I am going with Turner Loose. I think this horse comes in from, the Kentucky circuit, now getting on the turf here in California. I think they'll put some more speed into this horse. I think they'll really try to ride her out of the gate hard and try to get her positioning. Some of her best races have been when she's done that. Give me Turner Loose, Jared. I'm gonna take a flyer here at 8-1.
Yeah, I honestly I don't hate it. I almost picked the horse, just because of a lot of East Coast horse, or maybe not East Coast, but this the Kentucky area shifting to wet. It typically does well do well on the turf. Plus, you get the D'Amato is awesome. Has been a great meet. I don't know, like you would think the horse would improve, and maybe he will or she will, but I don't know. I thought it was didn't really put on a great, no, I'm saying he's a bad jockey, but they don't win a lot together or don't ride a lot together. So I don't know what to make of that. He also has two others in the race. So maybe that's why, because, he's got his kind of regular ones on those. But I thought that was a kind of maybe it's a sneak, just a way to get a better
Sneaky,
price, being very,
sneaky.
very sneaky.
Yep.
But no, I don't hate the pick at all. I kind of went back and forth, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna try to do that. It's like I'm gonna beat this horse. I'm gonna try to beat this horse, and then I ultimately went with the favorite, the one. Closing remarks. The class alone, this horse has just been really classy, for really the last year or two, and this is a horse that definitely needs this kind of cutback, needs this kind of distance, needs this grade, as far as not going running the grade ones, grade twos. So this is where this horse belongs. So I think this horse is going to rebound. I like Rispoli getting the mount here as well. I think that's a nice move from Gaines. So give me the one. Closing remarks. I think this horse will win. Yeah, I think the issue with your pick, Halterman. How about this? But before we go past this race, it's like this seems like this happened a couple times this meet at Del Mar. Baffert just randomly throws in a horse that's been running on dirt into the turf.
Mm-hmm.
Ganadora, the horse $1 million horse that had a lot of hype as a 3-year-old and really as a 2-year-old, and so it never really panned out. And now is now with Baffert, or now on the turf with Baffert. So why that's not a great angle for Baffert, but it
Yeah,
is interesting. You got to you would think that she'll put some speed in the race.
I think she will put speed in the race. I think this could be let's just try anything at this point type of situation. 8 starts, only 3 wins. Like say, purchase for $1 million.
Yep.
Maybe we can get a little bit something out of her on the turf. I don't look at the pedigree and go, oh, turf is going to be great for this horse.
Well, and it's a Baffert. It's like you said, $1 million horse. So you got to think they're running. They're looking for those big races, the big grade ones. And let's be honest, LeBray finished 5th, beaten 6, got smoked. Beholder Mile, grade 1, got smoked. And then even ran an allowance race, got smoked. And it's just like something's off with the horse now. Not to say the horse was ever like a superstar, but she did show some signs of being a pretty good horse, and then obviously everything's out, and yeah, you definitely throwing shit against the wall, as Christopher would say,
Right.
here. But there you go. I got closing remarks. You've got Turn Her Loose. Yeah, I thought the same thing. I don't know who said it, but it was like when I saw that, I was like, she's with him now. That's funny. All right, that's all the time we have. Check us out at racingdudes.com for our free picks and our premium selections on our handicap products page. Click the Get Racing Dudes premium button in the menu at racingdudes.com to learn more. Remember, go check out that best bets page. Also there on the main menu, the Racing Dudes, or on Twitter at racing_dudes. You can check us out on Instagram and Facebook as well. You can find all episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting our podcast page, Apple Podcast, Spotify, all the places you listen to a pod. We are on there, as well as the Magic Mike Show, who also did a little Del Mar action. They did Del Mar Saturday Pick 5 preview. So not only do you want this race, but you want that Pick 5 sequence as well on Saturday at Del Mar. Magic and Samich covered that for you. So go check out the Magic Mike Show, available on all the same places you listen to Blinkers Off. Final thoughts, Halterman. NFL starts back up. Well, I mean, I guess technically had the Hall of Fame game last week, but preseason, we're on, man.
Yeah. Did not look at the preseason, but they are playing. Evidently, CJ Stroud did not look good today, but it doesn't really matter. These games don't count, so he'll look better. But I'm not. It's funny. Like they drafted a lot of quarterbacks in the draft. I don't really love any of them, so it'll be interesting to see how they actually play. But yeah, it's here, so that's great. And we were talking earlier. It's like Travers Day is always kind of this weird situation where you get out your phone at noon and it's like, oh shit, like there's a college football game going on. Like there's those 8 or 9 or 10 weird college football games, just random ones they throw in for like week 0. And then once they hit the line at the Travers, you're like, okay, I guess it's football season now, because we're now college football opening week is here, and then we'll have NFL the week after. So it's almost back.
Well, shit, man. I got that week, the week prior, or I guess the week of Travers week, is when Cohen starts back to school. And it's just like, he'll be in school and Travers and then football. And it's just like, before you know, it'll be Halloween. So it's just, before you know, the Breeders Cup. So it seems like it's crazy how fast it goes after Saratoga, well, after Travers especially. But yeah. It's gonna be interesting. There's a lot of new faces. I know it happens every year, but there's a lot of new faces, a lot of new, whether it be rookies, whether it be the trades and things like that. Seeing, Garoppolo and where he, with him in our division now, and what Derek Carr is gonna do. You saw some pictures of Derek Carr, like he apparently got ripped in the offseason. There you go. Which, by the way, Vicky, I gotta set. I always when August rolls around, I think because I'm the commissioner in our league, I'm like, shit, I gotta schedule that. And I saw the funniest video the other day. It was like, I'm not even gonna try to explain it, but basically, it was saying like everyone else is happy it's here. The commissioner's thinking, shit, we gotta work with 10 other people's schedules, and it's always like, well, I can do this day. It's like, well, I can't do it that day, and Halterman's at an OU game this day, and so, it's like, shit, we'll just do it on it always ends up, it's like Tuesday night at 8 p.m. or something, it's just like, we'll just get it over with. But we always try to do ours. I always try to do ours like as close as I can to week 1 because of injuries, because of it, injuries in preseason and things like that. So I try to wait as long as possible. We'll wait for our predictions coming. We'll do that before the actual regular season starts. But I'm excited that it's here. It's I'm ready for fall. I really am. I don't know. I'm kind of over the summer, to be honest with you. From a parent perspective, I'm definitely dreading fall because I've enjoyed summer and not having routines and going to the pool all day and doing fun stuff and with the boys. But the other part of me is like, they need to get to school. Like, I'm ready.
They'll be crying because they're in school, so I don't want to hear it.
I know. It'll be Cooper. I'm sure we'll see some appearances from over the summer, but poor Cohen gotta go to school.
Yep.
Anything else going on this weekend? You got going on?
Nope.
We got quiet 2 weekends of laid back, and then we're back in Saratoga, my friend. So
I know.
Rest up.
I know it's gonna be fun. Well, I hope it's gonna be fun. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be fun. I'm just gonna hope.
Should we tell so? I think we should do a draw straws. Are we in fact staying at Ricky's bungalow in Saratoga?
We have to. We literally have to.
So
there's a 2-day fish concert happening at Saratoga the weekend of the Travers. So it's stay at Ricky's place or stay in Plattsburgh. Your choice.
I guess Ricky's place.
It's got to happen.
But listen, it's Ricky's parents' place, and Ricky lives there, and so there's Ricky's parents' room basically, and then their Airbnb. It's not like we're like just going there to stay. Like they were Airbnb-ing it already, and they gave us first dibs. But and it's like, or Ricky's room. We're gonna have to draw straws, my friend. I don't know how I could feel. I mean, I might sleep on the floor if we have to.
I've been in the apartment. It's extremely nice, right? But they did corner Ricky off into this, they quarantined him off into this corner. So what I think we should probably do, they got this huge couch. Somebody take the couch, somebody take his parents' room, and let's just caution tape that part that part off. Yeah.
I don't think either one of us could sleep at night in that room.
I couldn't. My skin's crawling just thinking about it. So
I don't. Oh wow!
I'm not doing it.
No, I'm already telling you I'm not doing it. Like, and I was gonna like you usually like you set up the hotels or the Airbnbs or whatever. So I usually let you just you take, or if Heather's with us or whatever, like just take the master or whatever. I'm fine. It's just me. And this was a case where I was like, I'm gonna fight you on this one. We're gonna have to fight if you think you're not getting Ricky's room.
I'm not going in there. So
it's like
it's fine. I'll sleep on the
couch. It's like the scary movies, where it's like the one room that's haunted and like they just don't go. It's like we don't speak of that room. It's like no, I'm not doing it.
They have a huge TV where the couch is, so that's fine. We can do that.
Yeah, the couch. We can do the couch, and one of us do the couch. One of us do them.
Yeah,
we'll only be there a few nights.
I'm not going in his room. There's no way.
Boy, that's a relief. Yeah, I'm not even gonna. I prefer not to see it, so that's fine. And by the way, I didn't even know fish was still a thing.
I didn't even know who Fish was. So
I knew who Fish was, but yeah. Vicky, we do too. Okay.
Oh, I don't have any questions because I know all the answers.
But to that point, it's like there's some questions you don't want answers to.
But he tells me anyway. So.
And honestly, I'm equally as afraid of when he's there alone or with friends. So I'm not. It's not even about like, oh, do you believe him if he really, it's like, I believe him. I mean, or I don't, like either way, it sucks. So.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Hey, Ricky, you probably logged off by now or else we'd be seeing a comment from you, but, we do appreciate the place and
yes,
we like you, man, but, I just don't want to sleep in your room. Okay. So I think that's fair.
More than fair.
All right, guys. On that note, let's wrap this sucker up. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. We're not staying in Ricky's room. All right, guys. Good luck this weekend.